34 photographs telling about the history of the development and formation of Russia. 1. Formation of the ancient Russian state, 882 AD. Prince Oleg, ruler of Novgorod, captured Kiev and made it his residence. This unification marked the beginning of the formation of the ancient Russian state, known as Kievan Rus. This step strengthened the prince's power and laid the foundation for further development of Rus as a unified state. 2. Christianization of Rus, 988 AD. Prince Vladimir Sviatoslavich adopted Christianity from Byzantium and made it the state religion. This event had a profound impact on the culture, social, and political structures of Rus, fostering stronger ties with the Byzantine Empire and Europe. 3. Tatar-Mongol yoke, 1240 to 1480. In 1240, Mongol troops led by Khan Batu captured Kiev and other Russian cities, establishing Mongol dominance. Russian principalities were forced to pay tribute and were under the control of the Golden Horde. The yoke lasted until 1480, when Ivan III refused to pay tribute, ending Mongol rule. 4. Battle of Kulikovo, 1380. This battle between Russian troops, led by Prince Dmitry Donskoy, and the Mongol army commanded by Mamai took place on the Kulikovo field. The victory of the Russian forces was an important step toward liberation from the Mongol yoke and strengthening the Moscow Principality. 5. End of the Tatar-Mongol yoke, 1480. The conflict between the troops of Moscow Prince Ivan III and Khan Akhmat ended with the stand on the Ugra River, resulting in the retreat of Mongol forces. This event marked the end of the Tatar-Mongol yoke and the beginning of the independent development of the Moscow Principality. 6. Coronation of Ivan the Terrible, 1547. Ivan the Terrible, became the first Moscow ruler to adopt the title of Tsar. This event strengthened centralized power and contributed to the expansion of the Moscow state's territory. Ivan's reign was marked by both successful reforms and brutal repressions. 7. Conquest of Kazan, 1552. Ivan the Terrible conquered the Kazan Khanate, expanding the borders of the Moscow state and strengthening its influence in the Volga region. This event was a significant step in the consolidation of Russian statehood and territorial expansion to the east. 8. Election of Michael Romanov, 1613. After the time of troubles, the Zemsky Soba elected Michael Romanov to the throne, ending a period of chaos and initiating the Romanov dynasty, which ruled Russia until 1917. This event helped restore order and stability in the country. 9. Founding of St. Petersburg, 1703. Peter I founded St. Petersburg on the Baltic Sea coast, aiming to create a window to Europe. The city became the new capital of Russia in 1712 and a symbol of modernization and European orientation of the country. 10. Proclamation of the Russian Empire, 1721. After the successful conclusion of the Great Northern War and victory over Sweden, Peter I took the title of Emperor and proclaimed Russia an empire. This event cemented its status as a great power and opened a new era in Russian history. 11. Reign of Catherine the Great, 1762 to 1796. Catherine II implemented numerous reforms aimed at modernizing Russia, strengthening central authority, and expanding territories. Her reign also marked the development of culture and education, contributing to the consolidation of the Russian Empire. 12. Patriotic War, 1812. In 1812, Napoleon invaded Russia, leading to the war known as the Patriotic War. The climax was the Battle of Borodino and the subsequent defeat of the French troops. Russia's victory had immense significance for strengthening its international prestige. 13. Decembrist Revolt, 1825. A group of noble officers attempted to overthrow the monarchy and establish a constitutional government. The revolt was suppressed, but it became the first organized movement for political reforms in Russia. 14. Abolition of serfdom, 1861. Alexander II issued a manifesto freeing peasants from serfdom. This reform was a significant step towards modernization of the country and improvement of socio-economic conditions for peasants. 15. First Russian Revolution, 1905. Mass protests and strikes, driven by dissatisfaction with the political and economic situation, forced Nicholas II to implement political reforms, including the establishment of the State Duma. 16. Reign of Nicholas II, 1894 to 1917. Nicholas II, the last Russian emperor, whose reign ended with the 1917 revolution. His reign was marked by economic growth, but also political upheavals, including the war with Japan and World War I. 17. February and October Revolutions, 1917. The February Revolution overthrew the monarchy, and a provisional government came to power. In October, the Bolsheviks led by Lenin staged a coup, establishing Soviet power. 18. Civil War, 1918 to 1922. The war between the Reds, Bolsheviks, and the Whites, counter-revolutionary forces, as well as foreign interventionists. The Bolsheviks' victory led to the establishment of Soviet power across the former Russian Empire. 19. Formation of the USSR, 1922. In December 1922, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics was formed, uniting several republics under the control of the Communist Party. 20. Death of Lenin, 1924. After Lenin's death, Joseph Stalin came to power, initiating policies of industrialization, collectivization, and repression, which fundamentally changed Soviet society and the economy. 21. Great Patriotic War, 1941 to 1945. The War of the USSR against Nazi Germany. The Soviet Union suffered enormous losses, but managed to achieve victory, which strengthened its international status and influence in post-war Europe. 22. Siege of Leningrad, 1941 to 1944. The siege of the city by German forces lasted 872 days, causing mass starvation and the deaths of hundreds of thousands of residents. The siege became a symbol of heroism and resilience of the Soviet people. 23. Launch of Sputnik 1, 1957. The first artificial Earth satellite launched by the USSR marked the beginning of the space age and demonstrated the Soviet Union's scientific and technological superiority. 24. Yuri Gagarin's space flight, 1961. Yuri Gagarin became the first human to travel into space. This success strengthened the USSR's prestige on the world stage and accelerated the development of space technology. 25. Chernobyl nuclear disaster, 1986. The explosion at the fourth reactor of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant caused widespread radioactive contamination. It became one of the largest technological disasters in history. 26. Start of Perestroika, 1985. Mikhail Gorbachev initiated policies of perestroika, restructuring, aimed at economic and political reforms. The goal was to modernize the economy and democratize society, eventually leading to the dissolution of the USSR. 27. Afghan War, 1979 to 1989. The Soviet military intervention in Afghanistan aimed to support the pro-Soviet government. The war significantly impacted the Soviet economy and politics, leading to negative international reactions. 28. Dissolution of the USSR, 1991. After the failed August coup in 1991, the republics began declaring their independence. In December 1991, the USSR officially ceased to exist, and Russia became an independent state. This dissolution led to significant economic and political changes, as well as a transition from a socialist system to a market economy. 29. Adoption of the Russian Constitution, 1993. In December 1993, a new constitution of the Russian Federation was adopted, establishing the foundations of the modern Russian state, including the separation of powers and the rights and freedoms of citizens. It established a presidential republic and created conditions for democratic development in Russia. 30. First Chechen War, 1994 to 1996. An armed conflict between the Russian Federation and the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria began in 1994 when Russian troops entered Chechnya to suppress separatist movements. The war ended with the signing of the Kasaviev Accord, which effectively recognized Chechnya's de facto independence. 31. Second Chechen War, 1999. In 1999, Russian troops re-entered Chechnya in response to Chechen militant attacks on Dagestan and bombings in Russian cities. The military actions continued into the early 2000s, resulting in Russia re-establishing control over the region and suppressing separatist movements. 32. Vladimir Putin's inauguration, 2000. Vladimir Putin became president of Russia in 2000 following Boris Yeltsin's resignation. His tenure was marked by strengthening centralized power, economic reforms, increasing authoritarianism, and enhancing Russia's role on the international stage. 33. Armed conflict with Georgia, 2008. In August 2008, an armed conflict erupted between Russia and Georgia over South Ossetia. After 5 days of fighting, Russia recognized the independence of South Ossetia and Abkhazia, which led to international sanctions and a deterioration in relations with the West. 34. Beslan school siege, 2004. The terrorist attack in Beslan is the taking of hostages at school number 1 in the city of Beslan, North Ossetia, committed by terrorists on the morning of September 1, 2004, during a ceremonial assembly dedicated to the beginning of the school year. For 2.5 days, the terrorists held more than 1,100 hostages, mostly children, their parents and school staff, in a mined building in the most difficult conditions, denying people even the minimum natural needs. These were 34 photographs that told you about the basic facts of Russian history. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new videos.